Imagine facing an 80% failure rate, like every single day,
Eh.
and getting mocked by your own friends and family while you do it.
Yeah, most people would throw in the towel by Tuesday.
Right. But today, we're looking at a group of people who don't just survive that kind of relentless rejection, they actually build empires out of it. So welcome to the deep dive.
Glad to be here.
We're exploring this truly fascinating raw audio recording. It's from an internal training session. They call it a Webathon, and it's for a major direct selling and network marketing organization over in India.
And, our mission today is not to endorse network marketing.
No, definitely not.
We are looking at this because whether you're an entrepreneur, scaling a business, or maybe a manager leading a stubborn team, or just someone who is endlessly curious about human behavior, there is a masterclass in psychology waiting in these sources.
Exactly. Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
Because we are looking at how this organization tackles product integrity, the messy reality of team building, and just the sheer mental fortitude required to operate in such a hostile landscape.
It really is a goldmine for understanding behavioral psychology. I mean, direct selling is an environment defined by high rejection and high attrition. Turnover is notoriously brutal.
Oh, absolutely.
So the strategies these leaders deploy to keep their teams motivated to maintain absolute integrity around their products, none of this is theoretical textbook advice. It has been battle-tested in the extreme.
So to understand how a business like this even functions, we have to start with how they establish trust. Because let's be honest, direct selling is an industry that is frequently plagued by rumors, unofficial information, and just a massive amount of noise.
Oh, a ton of noise.
Right. And in the sources, there's this highly revealing discussion about where this specific company ranks on these random top 10 Facebook lists that circulate online.
And the organization's leader outright dismisses them.
Yeah, he tells his entire sales force that those social media lists are meaningless garbage.
Which is smart, because he recognizes that relying on internet hearsay is a vulnerability. The leader points out that the real, authentic benchmark for legality in India isn't some viral post. It's the central government's 2021 direct selling rules.
And there is a fantastic piece of trivia buried in this source. So Mizoram was the first state in India to actually implement a monitoring mechanism for these 2021 rules.
Right, and when you check the Mizoram government website, this specific company was one of only 2 listed as legally compliant.
But I have to play devil's advocate here, because reading a state gazette is incredibly dry.
Yeah, it's not flashy.
No. If I am a salesperson on the ground, sitting in a coffee shop trying to recruit someone, pulling up a viral top 10 Facebook list that says we are #1 is going to be 10 times easier. It's more persuasive in the moment. So why ban the easier tool? It kind of feels like tying one hand behind your back.
It does feel counterintuitive at first, but what's fascinating here is that the leader is playing a much longer game. Building a foundation on a viral post is like building a house on sand.
Because someone else can just make a different list.
Exactly. The moment your prospect finds a different Facebook post that ranks your company lower, your entire credibility collapses. True leaders in this space anchor their legitimacy to the boring, bureaucratic reality of state law.
Right. They instruct their teams to rely exclusively on official company PDFs provided by their top leaders. I think they call them diamond uplines.
Yes, the diamond uplines. Because legal reality, while dry, is bulletproof. And the sources show exactly what happens when you try to take a shortcut with that legal reality.
Oh yeah, this part was wild. One of the participants apparently tried using AI to find these legal documents. They used ChatGPT, and the AI just completely hallucinated.
It completely mixed up the legal frameworks and generated a fake document.
Which is terrifying if you hand that to a prospect.
Right. It perfectly illustrates the danger of prioritizing convenience over accuracy. I mean, in an industry where skeptics are actively looking for a reason to call you a scam, handing them a legally inaccurate document generated by an AI destroys your trust instantly.
It's permanently gone.
So the leader is enforcing an absolute standard of informational legitimacy. It's not about what looks flashy. It's about what is provably legally real.
And that strict adherence to authenticity over flashiness, that's a massive theme here. It extends directly to their physical products, too. The audio details this really interesting concern coming from the sales field about their flagship Ayurvedic product. It's a health juice called iPulse.
Yeah, the sales team was fielding complaints from customers who noticed that the color and the taste of the juice changed slightly from batch to batch.
And on top of that, the shelf life of the product was barely a year.
which is a problem for a lot of consumers.
Right, because in the modern consumer world, we are conditioned to view that as a manufacturing defect. We walk into a grocery store and buy a synthetic soda, and we expect it to taste exactly the same whether we buy it today in New York or, 10 years from now in Tokyo.
Sure.
We expect industrial uniformity.
But the leader flips that script entirely. He turns a perceived weakness into a core philosophy. He explains that natural fruits change per season. An apple harvested in the spring inherently tastes different from an apple harvested in the fall. Therefore, a product that is truly natural, without heavy synthetic intervention, well, it must change in color and taste.
He even mentions that the company chairman faced immense pressure to extend that short shelf life. But the chairman specifically refused to add artificial preservatives, which could have easily doubled the shelf life to 24 months.
He consciously chose health over convenience.
Exactly. And the leader uses that decision to re-educate the consumer.
It shifts the entire narrative. Instead of the salesperson apologizing, saying, sorry, this expires so fast, they are empowered to say, hey, this product is so pure, it physically cannot sit on a shelf forever.
Wow. They are weaponizing the lack of preservatives.
Exactly. It forces the consumer to reconsider what quality actually looks like. It moves them away from this illusion of industrial perfection and toward biological reality.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting, because they use that same aggressive reframing to tackle the absolute elephant in the room, which is e-commerce undercutters. People are finding these same Ayurvedic products being sold much cheaper on sites like Amazon or Flipkart.
And the instruction the leader gives to his sales force is just wild.
Yeah. He doesn't say, try to price match. He tells them to boldly claim those online products are fleets and to challenge buyers to demand an original bill.
He is unyielding on this point. He tells his team to offer a literal personal guarantee. He says, if a buyer can acquire a cheaper product online that comes with a verified original company bill, the leader promises he will personally quit the business entirely.
Wait, really? He'd quit?
Or give them 2 free products. He puts it all on the line.
That is exactly like buying a luxury watch. Imagine someone offering you a Rolex out of the trunk of a car in an alley. Sure, the price tag is way cheaper than the boutique, but without the papers of authenticity, what are you actually putting on your wrist?
Right.
Or in the case of a health juice, what are you actually putting into your body?
And notice how it flips the entire power dynamic of the sale. Instead of the salesperson begging the customer to buy from them instead of Amazon, the salesperson is challenging the customer's street smarts.
Yeah, like go ahead and risk it.
Right. They are saying, if you want to gamble your health to save a few bucks on colored water, go ahead. But if you want the real thing, you need the papers. By leaning into the original bill, they are selling peace of mind.
You aren't just paying for the juice, you are paying a premium for the verifiable guarantee that you aren't being conned.
Exactly.
But, there's a major catch to that original bill strategy. It establishes incredible consumer trust, sure, and protects the premium price, but it also creates immense pressure on the sales side. Because now you have a premium-priced, short shelf-life product that you have to move incredibly fast.
Yes.
Which brings us to the mechanics of their compensation plan and how they engineer urgency directly into the business model. They talk about this concept called the business incubator revenue.
This is where the psychology of motivation becomes highly systematic. They don't just, hope people sell fast. They build a rigid timeline that forces momentum.
Oh, I was actually doing the math on this while reviewing the sources, and the stakes are intense. They have this strict rule called the 1+1 week rule for new recruits.
Yeah, break that down.
So if someone joins the business on a Friday, they have until the following Friday to recruit 2 new people, one on their left team and one on their right team. And depending on when you sign up in that cycle, you have a maximum of 13 days to pull this off.
And the financial incentives for hitting that highly compressed deadline are substantial.
Oh, very substantial. If a new recruit hits this target, they earn a 10,000 rupee bonus for the incubator, plus another 10,000 rupee business opening bonus.
Wow.
Adding retail profit and free products, and ultimately out of roughly a 1.24 lakh investment, which is about 124,000 rupees to start, they can see a 32,400 rupee return in that very first week. That is an instant return of about 32%.
That's a massive hook.
But I keep getting stuck on the naming convention here. Why call it a 1+1 week? I mean, if the absolute maximum time you have is 13 days, why not just say, hey, you have up to 2 weeks to do this?
Because that phrasing is a brilliant defense against a deeply ingrained human habit, procrastination.
Oh, right.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, if you tell someone they have 2 weeks to complete a task, you are giving them an expansive time. The brain interprets 2 weeks as plenty of time.
Yeah, like, I don't need to make any calls this weekend. I'll just start next Tuesday.
Precisely. It invites delay. But framing it as 1 + 1 week and tying it explicitly to their Friday to Friday administrative cycle, it creates an immediate psychological boundary.
The clock is ticking the second the ink dries.
Exactly. It capitalizes on the idea that work expands to fill the time allotted. By compressing the perception of time, it manufactures immediate momentum. It proves that in sales, how you define a deadline is often just as important as the deadline itself.
But let's be real about what moving at that intense 1 + 1 week speed actually looks like on the ground.
Okay.
It inevitably leads to massive, rapid rejection. I mean, you are pitching to everyone you know as fast as you can. So how do these leaders survive the mental toll of
It's a
that?
huge hurdle.
In the audio, a participant literally asks the top leader how he stayed motivated during his early struggles. And the leader is brutally honest. He admits that out of 10 people he approached, 8 would leave him or actively mock him.
An 80% failure rate, accompanied by social ridicule from your own friends and family. I mean, that is an environment designed to break human beings. Most people would quit after the third rejection, let alone the 30th.
So how did he survive?
Yeah.
He says his secret was clinging strictly to his mentor and attending relentless training. And he uses an analogy directly from the source material that is so striking.
The Mahabharata reference.
Yes, he compared his relationship with his mentor to Arjuna and Lord Krishna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra.
It's a profound comparison for anyone familiar with the text. On that battlefield, Arjuna, the great warrior, was completely paralyzed by the thought of fighting his own relatives and teachers. He dropped his weapons. He was emotionally shattered.
He just couldn't do it.
Right. And Krishna didn't pick up the bow and fight the battle for him. Krishna served as his charioteer and his guide, giving him the philosophical grounding and the perspective required to do what had to be done.
It perfectly captures the dynamic. It's not just about getting tactical business advice on how to close a sale. Your mentor acts as a psychological human shield. When your own friends are rejecting you, you need someone holding the reins of your mind.
In high-attrition fields, success is rarely just about possessing a slick sales script. It is about emotional anchoring. Mentorship in this context is a vital survival mechanism against the intense social stigma of direct selling. The mentor absorbs the shock of the rejection, contextualizes the failure, and keeps the salesperson from shattering.
Okay, so let's say you survive the rejection. You lean on your mentor, you hit your frantic deadlines, and you finally build a team of your own. You transition from being just a salesperson on the ground to being a leader. Well, according to these sources, a brand new psychological trap emerges, accidentally smothering your team with too much help.
The paradox of the caring manager. It is one of the most common and frankly destructive mistakes in leadership.
The golden rule they teach for leadership transition is, I do, we do, you do. But the leaders in the Webathon give a very specific, culturally resonant warning about this. They tell their emerging leaders to avoid becoming a Dean Delil Deenanoth.
Yeah, that's a slightly sarcastic term used to describe someone with a heart so big they become a perpetual savior figure. They do absolutely everything for everyone around them.
Right, we've all seen this manager, the boss, who says, oh, you're having trouble logging into the portal. Just give me your password, I'll do it. You don't know how to track the shipping, I'll call the warehouse for you.
Right.
You're nervous about a presentation. Don't worry, I'll pitch it for you. The leader in the audio explicitly says this behavior creates a handicapped team. But let's unpack why managers do this. Because if my team is struggling, isn't my job to remove the friction?
There is a profound difference between clearing a systemic roadblock and spoon-feeding an employee. Managers fall into the Dean Dale Deenanoth trap for 2 reasons. First, it's faster to just do it yourself.
Sure.
Second, and more insidiously, it feeds the manager's ego. When you constantly jump in to save a struggling team member, you feel needed, you feel competent. It relieves your own anxiety about watching them fail.
But at the cost of their growth.
Exactly. When you do the core work for them, you rob the employee of the friction required to build competence. A muscle only grows when it faces resistance. If you lift the weight for them, they remain weak. The I do, we do, you do framework forces an exit strategy for the manager.
So first I do it, and you watch.
Then we do it together. Then you do it, and I step back, even if you stumble.
And to prove how serious they are about stopping this culture of coddling and excuses, they share a rather extreme anecdote. There's a leader named Nilakshi, an Emerald executive, Instead of using her young children as an excuse to stay home and ask her upline to do the legwork for her, she actually safely locked her kids inside the house so she could travel 70 kilometers by bus every single day, carrying 8 heavy bottles of iPulse juice to build her empire.
It is a staggering story.
Wow, that is incredibly intense. And obviously, from an outside perspective, highly controversial. I think a lot of people hearing that today would find it alarming. But looking purely at the psychology of the training, you can see the narrative they're building.
Yes, absolutely.
They're using this extreme example to tell the rest of the team, hey, if Nilashi figured out how to navigate 70 kilometers on a bus with heavy cargo, you have zero excuse for not filling out a basic web form on your own.
It destroys the culture of excuses by setting an unimaginably high bar for personal accountability. It forces empowerment by making it socially unacceptable to ask the manager to do your basic tasks.
It's intense accountability. But here is the pivot, and it's a crucial one. Setting boundaries with your team, like refusing to be that overbearing savior, is vital. But setting boundaries between your business and your personal life is what actually ensures long-term survival in this industry.
Which brings us to the final and perhaps most sophisticated psychological insight from these sources.
In the audio, a female participant asks a very vulnerable question. She asks the leader how she can maintain her dignity and avoid being seen purely as a network marketing lady who is constantly pushing products.
It's a very real fear of social alienation. When you join a business like this, step one is always to leverage your existing network.
Right.
But if you do it without tact, you destroy your social capital. Every interaction starts to feel transactional, and people begin to cross the street when they see you coming.
And the top leader gives surprisingly strict advice to prevent this. He tells her she must keep her social circles entirely separate. He uses himself as an example. He says if you go to a morning workout group at the gym, or a religious satsang gathering, you only talk about the workout or the satsang.
He mentions that people at his gym just know him as the guy who works out. They have no idea he's a highly successful ambassador in a direct selling company.
He even says that if someone rejected your pitch 8 years ago, never bring it up again. If you see them at a birthday party, just ask about their kids.
It's brilliant.
This goes completely against the classic always be closing stereotype we associate with sales. It's like being a vegetarian, you don't need to announce it at every single dinner party you attend.
Preserving your social capital is a highly advanced business strategy. Desperation repels people. When you are the person who is always pitching, you lose your humanity in the eyes of your peers. But by drawing a hard boundary, by actively refusing to pitch your health juice at a birthday party, you paradoxically increase your professional allure.
You become the person who is successful enough not to need their money right that second.
Precisely. It maintains what the participant called the dignity of the profession. You prove that you are a professional who operates during business hours, not a relentless hustler trying to monetize a religious gathering.
Yeah.
It protects your mental health because you still preserve spaces in your life where you are just you, not a salesperson hunting for a quota.
We have covered a massive amount of ground today on this deep dive. I mean, from the crucial importance of anchoring your credibility to the boring reality of state gazettes over flashy Facebook lists to weaponizing a short product's shelf life as undeniable proof of natural purity.
So many incredible takeaways.
And we unpack the original Bill strategy that flips the power dynamic with the consumer and the psychological boundary of the 1+1 week deadline that crushes procrastination. We explored the necessity of having a mentor as your emotional human shield against rejection, the I do, we do, you do framework to avoid creating a handicap team, and finally, the absolute necessity of protecting your social capital by drawing hard boundaries.
It really is a remarkable look at the raw, unfiltered mechanics of human motivation, resilience, and leadership. But I want to leave you with a final lingering question inspired by the Deen Dayal Dinathoth concept we discussed.
Okay, let's hear it.
Think about your own life, your family dynamics, or your workplace. Where are you currently playing the hero? Where are you over-helping someone to soothe your own anxiety, and in doing so, accidentally stunting their growth? Sometimes, the most loving and ultimately effective thing you can do as a leader, a parent, or a friend is to just embrace the discomfort of stepping back and letting them do it themselves.
That is such a powerful thought to chew on. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the intense psychology of sales, leadership, and human behavior. Take these frameworks. Look at where you might be over-helping. Look at where you need to firmly set your boundaries and apply them to whatever Kurukshetra battlefield you are facing in your own life today.